Ooh, that's loud. Hi, my name is Jeremy. This is Red Means Recording, and this is a quick video to talk about how to multi-track a synthesizer to make a song. This might seem really, really obvious to a lot of people, but I actually had someone reach out to me asking the best way to do it with their Korg Minilog, and I realized that maybe there's some knowledge here that not everybody has. So that's what we're doing today. I just released a 2-song EP that features pretty much nothing but this bad boy right here, the Pro 3 from Sequential. All the sounds except for vocals, drums, and guitar all came from here. So like the old series I did, What Can You Do with Whatever Synth, I really wanted to put this through the ringer and see what I could do. I'm really happy with how it turned out. This thing is amazing to multi-track with, and as you go along and make your own sounds to fill in the places that you want to on the fly, you sort of end up creating an auto arrangement, an auto mix. I mean, obviously you create an arrangement, but you can auto mix by really carefully choosing your sounds coming right out of the synth. So I think it's a really cool way to compose. So let's get into it. The first thing that you'll need to do is hook up your synthesizer to the computer you're recording on with audio and MIDI. I have an audio interface that has line ins, so I'm using the line outs of my synth here, and I am using MIDI DINs out and in to the computer from the Pro 3. It also has, and yours as well might have this USB MIDI. You can do MIDI over USB, but I'm using DINs just because I have them already hooked up and it's easier for me to deal with that. So once you have that hooked up, you'll want to go into your synth and make sure that whatever settings are set up here to like get clock if you need it, like for arpeggios and sequences, or that it can just receive MIDI in general from the computer and send MIDI. So that's going to be different for every synth that you have, but I've set it up here in the Pro 3 already, obviously, to record the 2 tracks that I did. So that's something you can check the manual for. Then you can open up your DAW. In this case, I'm using Ableton, and then we can get started. So for the kind of music that I generally do, I need a beat, and I usually know going into the track what genre I want to make, so I try to find a kit that complements that, and I lay down like a really simple beat that just goes for like 3.5 minutes or however long I think the track might be, and then I can always go and edit that beat later if I need to. So in this case, we got this sweet 80s kit. So I am going to record a beat real quick. Because this is set to send MIDI, it actually sends MIDI to like drum kits and stuff too. So I'm going to turn on my metronome and I'm just going to record a beat real quick. Missed a little snare there, so I'll just go fix that. I'm also going to quantize this. And while I do that, I will say, you notice that there was a count in. There was a 2-bar count in. That's a fair amount of count in. And the reason that that's there is because I want to make sure that I have plenty of time to prepare before I start the take. So I would recommend having a recording count in. And in a lot of cases, I would recommend starting the recording just a little bit before you're actually going to start playing like in the song so that you can give yourself time to prepare and stuff like that. If it's a sequence and it starts right when the thing starts, then that's going to be a little different, but that's up to you. So we have a kit, and now there are 2 things you could do. You could just drag this, oops, we have to loop that. We could drag this across 3.5 minutes, which in this particular case I'm going to, and just jam. That's one way to do things. Or you could, make sections if you already kind of knew what the song structure was going to be. So we'll just pretend we're jamming. So I need to now be able to hear my synthesizer. So I know that I have this set up in audio input 7 and 8. So that happens to be this one right here. I don't know what preset I'm going to use yet. So I'm just going to sort of like make this ready to record. And now we can hear the Pro 3. So the first thing I think I would do is make a bass line. Let's go ahead and just make a new patch real quick. Okay, we have a bass. So I just made a new preset, and this is a great time to show sort of like the organization system of this whole thing. So I'm going to write this preset. I'm going to name it real quick. You want to be able to make a reference of where this preset is. And this is assuming that you have a synth that has presets. If you don't, then this doesn't matter. Just go ahead and record. Record your sounds. Right. Okay, we are on U472. So let's pretend I just wanted to record this, just audio, no MIDI, just I wanted to play it. So I have full faith in my abilities to play this funky bass line. So I'm going to go into Ableton and I'm going to name this with the bank and preset number. And I'll just also call it what it is. So this way I know exactly what's going on when I come back to this, and if I need to refer back to the Pro 3 or whatever synth to re-record something. So with that said, let's go ahead and just record something, I guess. So that's one little section, right? I just recorded one little section. You'll notice that my playing here is not fantastic, but for a slower song like Slow Down, the track, the first track on the EP that I just released, I played everything by hand. Like there was no need to sequence because it was all pretty slow and pretty easy to play. This track, I am going to actually record MIDI and then have the computer play it back to record a much cleaner performance. So like I did over here for this audio track, I'm going to go ahead and copy this and I'm going to MIDI and hit paste. So now we have a MIDI track with the exact same name, and I'm going to record arm it. And for now, I'm not going to have any output. I'm just going to leave this with no MIDI output. And the MIDI input is the MIDI input on the interface that you can see is responding. So I'm not hearing any audio. That's because I still need this right here to actually play. So I just set that to be in all the time, like just play the audio through that track. And now we can go back and record this as MIDI. Here we go. Okay, that's something, right? So now I have this bass line that probably needs to be quantized, and if I messed up at this point, like if I play the wrong note, I can go in and I can adjust some notes. I'm not going to do that for this, but I'm just saying that this is one of the advantages to this particular type of recording, where you record the MIDI, and then you go and make sure that your MIDI out is set now, and you hit record down here, and then we just do this. Yeah, baby. Okay, so you could hear that it also recorded all of my mod wheel movements and all that kind of fun stuff, velocity, like everything that was there. Let's say you don't want to play a line like this, like you don't want to like mess with the mod wheel and mess like this stuff while you're recording. You just want to play the thing and then go back and mess with stuff. The thing about this particular method is you can record just the basic MIDI, and then when the MIDI is playing back to record the audio, like we just did, then you can play around with all of the controls here and not have to worry about the notes. You can just play with the controls that you've set up or the controls that are available to on your synth. And that's kind of nice. It's like having 4 sets of hands. And I did that a lot with the performances that I recorded for the EP. Let's just go ahead and record a couple more things just to, have a track we can play in the outro. Let's see. So I just duplicated those tracks, and now I'm going to find another preset to play. Go ahead and save that. So this preset is a sequence, and it'll play once I hit play. So when I set up the global stuff for this, I set up a clock coming out of Ableton, which you will need to do. So this should now play. Now, what's happening right now is that because we didn't turn the MIDI off on this particular channel that we just recorded, it's actually sending MIDI through this and through the clock. So we're going to go ahead and turn this off here. You can say none. So this is something you have to do, or I have to do, every single time I move on to a new channel. So now when we hit play, we should just hear the sequence because Ableton's sending a clock. This is set up to set a clock, and we've hit play on our little sequencer here. So let's go ahead and record that. We are on 41. So I'll go back here and say P41 hi-hats. And I actually liked what was going on here, so we'll go ahead and do that. And we don't actually need to record any MIDI because this is clocked and the other MIDI thing is setting. Cool, so we'll just hit record and it'll record this and we can play around with it. So there's an example of a sequence being triggered by Ableton, and like you can pretend that that was also just MIDI that I recorded, and I was playing it back and playing with the knobs to get a nuanced performance, something that I would need more hands for. So we'll just do one more line real quick. After I'm done with recording a track, I usually just go up and duplicate the previous so that I have the MIDI and audio channels that are already set up for the next round. And I have to make sure that I don't have MIDI coming out of this. There we go. And great. So we could delete these. And let's make another preset real quick. All right, this is going to be one of those ones that I record MIDI for. So, do glamorous, right? Cool. So let's try this again. Cool. If you're recording audio in Ableton, like this track right here, or like recording vocals, and you have a loop going, then you can just keep on recording through that loop over and over again. And what will happen is it will just continue to make one long audio file with all your takes. So it's not really a proper comping system, but it does allow you to do multiple takes of vocals or a performance and then go pick the best one. So that's what I use for vocals all the time is I'll just sit there and loop a section and sing it again and again and again until I've got a take that I really like. And I find that that works a lot better for me than trying to do the whole track all at once. So now that we have some passable MIDI, let's go on down to our thing here and hit record. And there's our second take. So that's all you really need to see. It's the basic idea of, besides the, hooking up your synthesizer and making sure that both the synth and your DAW are set up to talk to each other, but also being organized, making an audio and MIDI track for a track that you intend to sequence, naming it and making sure that you can go back to it, practicing, recording MIDI if you want, or you can go straight to audio, playing back that MIDI, and then if you want to, play some more on the synth. And that's how I multi-track my synths. So, my name is Jeremy. This is Red Means Recording. Give this video a like if you learned something. It's fun. I hope you have a wonderful day.
I am on the way to